All right, guys, we're back briefly here anyway. We're going to jump into a brief session here of 10 for the Chair, where we're going to watch it together, kind of jump on it right now. I know it's a little bit earlier than I usually kick off the stream, but hey, I figured why not jump in it? Let's get on it and see what Mr. Chris Roberts got to say. It's always important to me. So let's check it out real quick. Let's check this thing out. Sure where we are with this. Let's check. Hang on. Wow. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if we're still hosting somebody or not. Oh, we're good. We're good with it. Switch it up. Alright, let's go watch the ever epic 10 for the Chairman, hosted by the dear to our hearts, Mr. Chris Roberts. Wowza.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of 10 for the Chairman. This is the first one I'm actually doing from the new offices in Los Angeles. We're still in the process of moving in. It's still pretty bare. We haven't got the pictures up on the walls, but it's cool. We have a bigger space. We actually have a stage space, so now we can do our community shooting there and also mocap once we get all that equipment set up. Not actually doing it here today for this one because we're still in the course of moving in and setting it up, but hopefully the next 10 for the Chairman I will be using the new facilities. Right now we're actually doing it in one of our conference rooms in the development area, which is actually adjoining my office that's just behind us. And this is where, anyway, it's all still moving in, temporary stuff, no pictures on the walls, but hey, it's nice to be in a bit more space. We've got like a really nice open flow. I don't know if you guys saw the old office. I think it'll be better for everyone creatively, so it's kind of cool. And obviously your guys' continued support allows us to make sure we have a good environment for everyone to develop the game of all our dreams. So anyway, thank you for that. So this is 10 for the Chairman, where for those of you who haven't seen this before, it's where I take 10 questions from the subscribers and answer them to the best of my ability. The subscribers are the subset of the overall people that have supported the community that contribute money every month to help fund sort of the enhanced community content we do. So we do a fair amount of video shows. So subscribers are helping sort of support all the things like getting the cameras and building some little sets that Tom and his guys have been building. So it's kind of cool. Jump Point, which is a sort of usually a 50 to 70 page monthly magazine that goes behind the scenes of a lot of stuff that we're doing, like how we build the spaceships or some of the designs that we're going through, or give background on certain parts of the Star Citizen universe, as well as have some sort of in-fiction universe stuff. So that's cool. Thank you very much to subscribers for allowing us to do all that. And thank you to everyone in general just for continuing to fund Star Citizen. As I said quite a long time ago, that all the money that we sort of bring in or raise before the game is sort of what we consider sort of 1.0 of the Star Citizen universe, goes right back into development, making sure it's as big and rich as possible. We're going to have some cool things to show you in the up and coming live stream later this month that hopefully you guys will be pretty excited by. We're pretty excited by some of the stuff. I know that a lot of you are already playing the public test universe of SC Alpha 2.0. We expanded out to a bunch more people for the weekend, we're hopefully, touch wood, going live very soon, or today. I don't know, because I'm filming this before today. Sort of, I'm from the past and anyway, forget about it. So let me get to the 10
Gotta
questions.
love Chris.
Okay. The first one comes from Dezel, who asks, how are the plans on the locking / keys, etc. on our ships? Will we be able to leave our ships with a reasonable security of the locking mechanism while EVAing onto a station? Yes, we're basically going to have a higher degree of security than we currently have on the ships. I mean, one of our thoughts was with SE Alpha 2.0 is, various the sort of locking systems and how we're going to do it. We sort of figured that the very first iteration that we get out there, we're just making it more open, and then we're going to kind of see what people do, and then we'll obviously sort of adjust some things so things will be more reasonable. People can't steal your ships, or people can't grief you as easily in areas that you should not be getting griefed in. So those are all kind of features and functionality, but we didn't really want to sort of wait to sort of program a complete nanny state and put it out there and then not have to do all that work. So it's kind of better to get it out there and see what happens. But the idea is, yes, your ship should be keyed to you, and you could enter it, and then you could allow other people to enter. And then ultimately there'll be some forms that people can sort of, break in or board, like out in space. For instance, if you left your ship there, someone may be able to EVA in and break the lock or blow the seal and get in. But it'll definitely have more security than it currently does now. So that's one of the things that we will start to do on our further iterations of the mini PU. All right, next question comes from Alex, who asks, what happens when you're stranded far from any kind of repair facility, mobile or otherwise? Will it be possible to jury-rig repairs using components from other systems to get your ship limping home under its own power? Will there be a skill system in place that would reflect the ability of one player character to repair the various ship systems? So we're definitely going to have, I think we may have even mentioned it or discussed it a little bit in sort of the repair design document that was part of when we launched the Crucible as a concept sale. But there's going to be repair of components that you can do. So changing out sort of the equivalent of like little valves or circuit boards or capacitors or whatever you want to think on certain things that could be damaged or blown to sort of get your ship back. We're also going to ultimately allow you sort of the ability to do some kind of sort of minimal repair, like maybe EVA out and like sort of seal up an area you have to seal up before you can carry on going. So we're definitely going to give you some sort of kind of small personal EVA FPS style repair that you can go about your ship. I mean, when you're taking damage on a constellation, maybe someone has to run back to the engine room to sort of do something in the engine room because otherwise the reactors are going to overload, and so you got to bring it down to take the safeties off and bring the power down to 50% or whatever, or change out a conduit or whatever it would be. So we're going to add that as gameplay because we think it'll actually be cool, especially on sort of the multi-cruise ships. So we'll add some of that, but obviously the proper fixing your ship up, sort of kind of like taking it to a real mechanic kind of thing, that would require someone to show up with like a Crucible, or you take it to one of the sort of NPC repair stations, of which we have a very simple prototype in the mini PU, the SE Alpha 2.0, but that's just sort of a very basic placeholder compared to what ultimately we plan to go, where you sort of would take it to a repair shop and they would say, okay, it's going to take you this long and cost you this much to get it fixed. As far as skill-based settings for repairing this stuff, we're really trying to make it so the player or your character is based on your skill of playing the game and kind of the equipment you've acquired and how you use it as a player. Now NPCs will probably have their own sort of RPG stats because we'll just sort of need to determine, okay, are they good, are they experienced, are they bad? And so probably some NPC repair people, there could be better ones or worse ones based on their skill stats. But for you as a player, it'll be just about how you do it. So it'll be about your resourcefulness, whether you've kept the extra components you need. So we kind of would think on a big ship, you may actually fly with some extra items and spare parts to fix things up, so to speak, when things get damaged. So there you go. I hope that answers the question for you. Next question comes from Iggy Pie, who asks, as an IT geek, I would like to know more about the server infrastructure. What kind of hardware or operating system manages the global networking? What kind of challenges are you running into? So I did ask our IT department this, and they all said, we don't really want to say too much. because I think they're a little scared that people are going to take some of that information and use that to hack in. So I'm not really meant to talk about much as far as that goes. We use a lot of Cisco stuff, if that helps. We do on every one of our studios, we sort of have a replicated server set up, and we use very fast storage. So we use this thing called nimble storage. Our big challenge, every one of our studios has gigabit internet connections, and we replicate drives, perforce depots, our various different sort of shared drives between every one of the studios constantly. So that way people can just sort of put up on our local network drive, say, I captured this little movie of the game action, and it will be replicated to all our different studios. There are terabytes and terabytes of data that are just going back and forth all the time between our studios. So it is a lot of data that's getting shunted around. We rely a lot on obviously having a nice wide connection to the internet, and fast storage. We have quite very fast state-of-the-art sort of servers, and there you go. And of course the game itself runs in the cloud. Right now we're on Google Compute, so we sort of deploy up to the cloud from here. So there you go. I don't know if that gave you as much of a question, but hopefully a little bit of it. The challenges are basically shunting all the data around and keeping everyone in sync, which, for the amount of data we deal in modern game making is quite a lot of data. It's fairly painful if you're outside one of our studios and you're syncing from a home machine and you don't have a fast internet connection. It will take a long time to sort of sync up your build. The next question comes from Phoenix Branson, who asks, has CIG ever considered adding dynamic weather or surface lights to the planet's surface? Could players sitting in orbit see clouds moving, lightning flashes, or surface lights that become visible as the planet enters its night cycle? Yes, we have definitely considered that. That's definitely a longer term goal, but we'll be showing something in our live stream later this month. That isn't this, but kind of has some things along that you can sort of see the potential. But yes, no, that's a longer term plan. So it won't be day one, but all those kind of things. What we're going to try to do is be as accurate to creating the planets and stuff. So you should sort of see the day-night cycles, and if it's nighttime, maybe you would see some, city lights or weather patterns. If there's a landing location, you could go there. So yes, that is in our longer term plans, and like with everything, it will get slotted in the game as we go along. But we have a lot of sort of more important stuff to knock out first, so to speak. Next question comes from Crazy Person, Crazy PRSN, but I'm assuming that means Crazy Person. Asks, out of curiosity, what made you want to start everything in the Stanton system? It seems appropriate because it's full of companies who are devoted to developing great technologies, but I'm curious how the decision came about. I don't know why we originally started. I know that ArtCorp was one of the very first landing location that we were sort of experimenting with the modular building sets, and we'd sort of styled and prototyped. So basically we'd pick that, and I think there's a few others, like Terra was a couple other ones that we were, and a few other ones. And so I think, and I think maybe it was when we were first doing it, we thought Stanton would be a good system because it actually has quite a few different planets you can go visit, and they all have sort of their own different identities. And there'll be quite a lot to do even if you just had gameplay in one system. We could have the Stanton system detailed out to the level of fidelity we want to do, run around, and that would absolutely be equivalent to most games, if not more than most games out there. So there's a lot of possibility there. So we thought Stanton was probably the best starting system for us to sort of start building out. All right, next question comes from Panda Bear, who asks, in the larger ships, have you considered a type of automatic battle flight pattern for those operating the ships as a single player? You can engage a type of autopilot that would fly a predestined pattern in a loop, while on autopilot you'd be able to man your own turret, allowing you a greater axis of movement and allowing you to track targets easier. I'm not sure we've necessarily discussed that. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but I wouldn't say that would be sort of at the top of our list. I mean, we do want to encourage people either to play together or, potentially you could sort of hire some NPC crew. So you could hire someone to be your pilot, which would be a bit like autopilot, and then you go off and be the gunner, and he would be reporting to you. But you never know, we may actually engage some version of sort of like, defensive circle autopilot. But I think the first blush is going to be, working with your friends, and the second blush is when we get the NPCs aboard the ship, and then we would kind of go from there and see what we're going to do. Okay, next question comes from Scooby, who asks, what will living spaces be good for? For example, the living module option on the Retaliator bomber. Is there a game mechanic behind them? Well, yeah, I mean, we've already mentioned, it was like one of the stretch goals that if, you have a sort of living space, a bunk bed on a ship, that will be a way for you when you're not in combat and all the rest of the stuff to sort of save the game without having to be on a planet. So that's really a pretty big thing, because, the living spaces are sort of like your, save points, so to speak. So there you go. That's, I think, actually a pretty big game aspect. And they're kind of cool. And, we are going to do some level of very, very, very light role playing. So, we have, one of the reasons why I think Star Citizen captures the imagination and you really feel like you're part of the world is because we sort of spend the attention and the time to, put the little details in there, so you're, in a ship and it's not just sitting in the cockpit. You can walk around it and, oh, here's where I'm going to sleep. Here's where I'd have my meals. Here's where I'd get a cup of coffee. Oh, here's where I'd take a shower. Here's where I could go to the toilet. And so it's sort of, not that we want to say, oh, well, you have to eat every 8 hours or anything like that, but there should be some stuff where, you could get a cup of coffee or you could get some food, and maybe there's like some very small, like sort of boost or something. There'd be a reason to kind of like do that kind of stuff, just to use it to make you feel like you're part of it. I mean, not to the extent of like a DayZ kind of thing, but I kind of feel like we want a little bit of sort of light use role playing, because I think it would be kind of cool. You don't take a shower for like a month and then like people start to not want to talk to you that much, that kind of thing. And I think I mentioned that before, but that's, all good reasons for sort of the living areas. All right, next question comes from Void Hunter, who asks, will you be doing any horror type of stories? There have been some awesome stories that could be stashed away for the explorers in the deep, dark parts of the Star Citizen universe. Movies like Alien, Pandorium, Event Horizon, and Pitch Black. Stories like this help reinforce the vastness of space and just how fragile the players are. Absolutely. So like one of the big goals, I mean, we're building a big universe, but it's not a universe that's going to have 400 billion Star Citizens in, but it's going to have quite a lot of locations, but at like an insane level of detail where you can really get down and sort of feel, the location you're on or the ship or everything. So like one of the big things that we want to do obviously is, derelicts, right? So derelicts are kind of cool. They're definitely sort of easy encounters to do. And yeah, you absolutely should be come across that sort of derelict ship and, there's some alien like, organism, a creature on it that could attack you. Or, later on when we get sort of our, space to planet stuff working, you can land down in an area and maybe, you've got that pitch black scenario where you get attacked by some, kind of alien, wildlife or animals or something like that. So we are definitely going to sort of build some kind of, derelict, haunted house kind of stuff as to put in there with other encounters, more sort of traditional encounters you can have. So, that could be a risk. You could go maybe, look and explore and salvage, this derelict, but maybe you're in there, you get attacked by, I'm not saying a face hugger, but the equivalent jumping down from the ceiling, or there could be pirates aboard it, there could be nothing aboard it. So I think we're definitely going to do that, and we'll try to have some that will sort of give atmosphere. I mean, I think, as you can sort of see with what we do with Star Citizen, we're really sort of trying to give it texture and atmosphere and make the world feel real. And I think, we can definitely do that because we're sort of in this FPS, first-person engine that we also fly vehicles and do all this stuff, so the possibilities are ripe. Fuzzer asks, how will insurance work for pirates? Trade routes, alien systems, being aggressor, etc. Well, so we sort of talked, like when we first talked about insurance, that there was still sort of the insurance cabal for the pirates, but it's basically on the pirate worlds where you would deal with whoever the sort of pirate insurance company would be, and then you would be respawning back in sort of the more outlaw or piratey planets, but it would generally work more or less the same as we would sort of have insurance working for people inside the UE, maybe it's kind of hard to say because we sort of have to balance the the ins and outs, because we sort of don't want people abusing assurance to sort of be able to grief other people, but we also want to make sure that when you lose your ship, you have the ability to get back in the game without having too much of a penalty. We want you to have some penalty, but not a catastrophic penalty. So it's I mentioned before sort of the Demon Souls example where I sort of felt like you really they had a good balance between losing a lot of things but not losing everything, and you really felt like when you actually managed to clear out a level or kill one of the end bosses that it was pretty risky to do it, but when you did it, you sort of had a really great sense of accomplishment, and that's sort of the goal that we want. So insurance is in there to make it so you don't go out the first time you get combat, you get your ship destroyed, and bam, okay, I don't have a ship now. What am I going to do? But we also don't want someone to just sort of take their Aurora and ram it into someone, instantly get their ship, ram it in again, instantly get the ship, ram it in again, instantly get the ship, ram it in again, because that's not going to be a fun experience for everyone else. So I think we'll figure out how to do it in ways that the more that kind of stuff happens, you have more penalty. We'll look for patterns, and we'll apply kind of the same stuff for pirates, and we'll try to balance it. But that's going to be very much in the sort of playing and the testing of it. That's why I really like the process we use, where we're sharing the game as we're building it with everyone and we're getting feedback. I think the ISC Alpha 2.0 is going to be an absolute it's a goldmine for that, man. I'm already seeing what people are doing. They're posting the videos, and that's without being specifically stable. So it'll be really interesting to see sort of evolves there, and then that will help guide us on sort of kind of how we'll deal with stuff. We obviously have some pretty we've got an idea of what we want to do, but obviously when I always say the best battle plans never survive contact with the enemy. Not saying you guys are the enemy, but we need to play on that. So basically the answer is insurance for pirates will not be too dissimilar for insurance for people inside the UE. It's just they'll be with the sort of pirate version of that, and we are going to try to balance it so either side of it can't abuse the insurance. All right, last question comes from Funcracker, who asks, there are small and big ships for transportation and warfare, but there are only big multi-crew ships for mining, reclaiming, etc. I would like to start mining, but without a high ship and NPC costs, simply on my own or with a friend. Will this be possible? So yes, I mean, obviously some of the larger scale stuff, reclaiming or mining, having a bigger ship helps because, it's sort of a bulk business. But we definitely have plans to have sort of some smaller mining equipment and vehicles that you can use, so you don't necessarily have to be using the Orion. That'll just allow you to do it at sort of a greater, like if you're dedicated as a miner, that's kind of how you sort of reach that kind of critical, mass, so to speak. But we'll have mining equipment that you can use on smaller ships, and maybe probably have a small dedicated miner. And potentially the same on sort of the reclaiming stuff too. There you go. It will be possible. We haven't designed the ships yet, but we have discussed it, and it is sort of in our longer term plans. But again, like I've said in a few of these other answers, there is quite a lot of things we have on our longer term plans, so it's all a matter of priorities. So there you go. They're the 10 questions for this week. It's nice to talk to you all from our new offices, and as time goes by, these will get moved into properly and hopefully be a really great work environment and space for everyone to continue working on Star Citizen. And I'd like to thank everyone out there for backing the game. Thank you for the past month. We had our sort of anniversary sale that went incredibly well. You guys were great. So it's just allowing us to make a bigger, cooler game. And I'm really looking forward to showing you some stuff on the live stream, and I'm really looking forward to seeing 2.0 live and just kind of the mayhem everyone gets up to, because it's already a blast watching people do it on the PTU, and it's a blast reading people's stories, and I just think there's a whole bunch more that's going to come of it. And of course, we're just going to continually adding and making it better. So there's some stuff that's I can't wait till we get all that in too. So if I had a time machine, it would be nice, but I don't. But there you go. So thank you very much. I will see you next week.
All good stuff. That was good stuff. Yeah, definitely Zealous. I thought there was better questions this time.
Microphone activated. Sound resumed. Welcome
I think
back.
I think it was a lot better this time, for sure. I liked it. So, we'll dive into it a little bit here. Since we have that. Like, basically they talked about, you know, even the beginning questions that, you know, just to reassure people, because I know everybody in the current PTU, they're running around and, you know, they're like, oh no, it's GTA, you know, spaceships, basically, or GTS, I guess it would be, because you're Grand Theft Spaceships. Everybody's stealing each other's spaceships and all that stuff. Well, you know, in here, he right off the bat, you know, Diesel asked how are plans on locking the keys, etc. our ships. We'll be able to leave our ships with a reasonable security for locking mechanism while you EVA onto a station, yada, yada, yada. And he said, yes, we're basically going to have a higher degree of security than we currently have on the ships. One of our thoughts was in SC Alpha 2.0, the locking systems and how we're going to do it. And he just goes into detail. It's like, people can't steal your ships. People can't refuel as easily in areas that shouldn't be getting griefed in. All those features and functionalities that we really didn't want to wait to program a complete nanny state. I love that, the nanny state. And put it out there and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But either way, they're going to have some sort of way or locking mechanism where it's going to help prevent some of that. So, all right, I got a phone call. I'll be right back. All right, well, anyways. So, yeah. So, how's Mr. Zealous doing? Eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
State. I didn't go to sleep because they wanted to go shopping today.
Oh, wow.
And then the older brother took the car, so we couldn't go shopping.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. What happens? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought there were some good questions in this and stuff, and I think that they talked about the repairability and stuff. They just pretty much re-verified some of the other stuff that we've already seen in here.
Yep.
And like I said, it was good questions. There's good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Yep. So, anywho's, but I just wanted to pop in real quick and make sure that we got to discuss a little bit of 10 for the chair, and everybody got to watch it since I was going to watch it anyway. So, I'm going to pop back off here. I'll probably be in TeamSpeak for a little while, but I'm just working on some projects and stuff. But any of you who tuned in for this very brief public service announcement that 10 for the chair was out and we had to watch it real quick, thanks for stopping in, guys. I do appreciate it. And, we'll give everybody a little 500 Robux for hanging out and doing the thing. But other than that, I will see you guys a little bit later on this evening. We've still got about 3 or 4 hours before we kick off the stream. And I'll be back then after kids are fed, projects are done, and we'll play some games. So until then, guys, we'll see you later. Have a great evening/afternoon.